Hey friends, Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Hey, if you're into mixing, you need to watch this video. There's one simple move that smart mixers do that nobody else does that sets them apart and helps them mix faster, use fewer plugins, and get a better mix in the end. It is the simplest advice I could give you. It's the most helpful, powerful advice I could give you, no matter where you mix, what speakers or headphones you mix on, or what your level of experience is. And I'm always shocked when I talk about this and people don't do it, or that they've ever heard of it. And that's why I'm going to continue to hit this point home. And in fact, today I want to show this to you in a new way. What is the one move? It's called using reference tracks. What is a reference track? It is simply a professional mix that's done and mastered off of an album from a band that you like, an artist whose material you think sounds good no matter where you listen to it. Man, that's a mix I would love to be able to have done myself. That's a big indicator when you've got a good reference track, and hopefully it's something relatively similar to the material you are working on. So if you're working on an EDM piece, you probably wouldn't reference a rock mix or an orchestral piece. You want to get something that's a little close to what you're listening to, because they're going to be mixed in similar ways. It doesn't have to be a perfect match. It doesn't even have to be the exact same instrumentation. Just something in the ballpark. The reason this works is because it tells you what good stuff sounds like in your setup, in your scenario. And here's the real deal, though. Even if you know your speakers well, the best mixers reference stuff because we have really bad short-term memory and long-term memory. We don't really remember what the tonality of a great mix sounds like. So we need to remind our ears before we spend 2, 3, 4, 5 hours on our own mix thinking we got something sounding good when we have no idea what it sounds like compared to other material. I want to show you a methodology for referencing tracks that is very, very powerful and helpful. And in fact, I don't usually do it this way, but Mike Sr. over at Sound on Sound magazine was doing his Mix Rescue column in this month's issue. And Mike is a friend of mine. We've interviewed him on the site before, and he's a very talented, very smart guy. Okay, he's way smarter than me when it comes to mixing, and I always enjoy his insights from his columns or when we speak, and I have both of his books. One thing he was doing this month's issue was pulling a rough bounce of his mix out of his session and importing it into a new session as a stereo file and then pitting it against reference tracks. And to me, this sounded like extra work. But the moment I did it on a mix, I realized why this is powerful. I want to show it to you today. All you got to do is open up your mix and at least get a rough balance. Try the 10-minute mix. Go watch that video, the 10-minute mix. It'll really give you a good idea of how to get your gut instinct of what the mix should sound like done in 10 minutes so you don't waste time. Once you got your 10-minute mix, export it out, bounce it down, and import it into a new session in your DAW, and then import 2 to 3 professionally mastered reference tracks that you like. So in this case, I've got my rough mix. Okay, only spent 10 minutes on it, volume and pan, that's all. And now I have 3 reference tracks. You can see how loud these reference tracks are just visually. The WAV files are fat like sausages up here, and mine is little teeny and it's got all these little bumps. Because these have been compressed, and they're mastered and done, and mine is a raw mix with literally 0 plugins of any kind. So the beauty of this is that you can simply just pull the volume down on the reference tracks manually. And you can see they're pretty close, but they're not 100% the same volume because they were mastered at different volumes. So fine-tune those down so that when you switch between those references in your material, they sound about the same volume. Little tip, if you're a Pro Tools user, use the options menu and change your solo mode from latch, which is standard, which means you can have multiple things soloed, to XOR, which means only one thing can be soloed at a time, which is a very helpful thing to flip through material. You just click solo, 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 and it'll just only solo that one piece of audio and mute the remaining stuff. It's a great way to flip between them. Why do we want to do this? Because it will give us reality. It'll tell us that our mix really isn't as good as we thought it was, and you do this at the beginning of your mixing phase so that you don't have wasted hours crafting a mix only to find that it's lame. You do this at the beginning so you can say, okay, what is my mix going to need? What are these raw tracks going to need compared to a final mix? Where am I going to need to go? I'm looking for clues. So here's an example. Here's my rough mix, 10-minute mix in with no plugins.
It's clear to me that you know this feels like glass and it's about ready to break. It's a dark, cold city, you're my spotlight, so take me away.
Okay, 2 guitars, bass, drums, 1 vocal. Pretty simple. Here is one of the references.
Find the lighthouse in the dark, directing ships that carry all their broken hearts that you have torn apart.
Way different, right? Way more bottom end, really thick guitars. The kick and the snare have so much snap and punch, probably because they're samples, but it's okay. The vocals are really, really upfront and punchy. They sound great. So I'm thinking, compared to my mix,
Find the lighthouse in me that you know is just a glass in its.
my mix has very teeny low end, very small kick drum, very small snare drum. And obviously the vocals have no treatment, so they're not compressed. They're not in your face yet. They're kind of hiding in the mix, and I want them to be out front. So I'm taking a note that at least on that reference, I need to work on my bottom end and my kick and snare. Okay, so let's listen to mine again, and we'll listen to another reference.
It's clear to me that you know.
Okay, this one, the kick drum is super massive and has a little bit more snap to it, a little more top end sizzle across this entire track in general compared to even the other reference. A lot of air. Guitars are a little more subdued. They're not like quiet, but they're not like crunchy and out in your face. It's like the kick drum is dominating, and the vocals a little buried too. Between those two references, you can tell the difference in tonality of the guitars, right? They sit in a different place. But either one, compared to my song, I still need more kick drum. That's been reinforced again, more kick drum.
It's clear to me that you know it's just a.
My kick drum has a little bit of pop, but it's not got that weight that the other ones have. Now here's a third reference track. It's a little bit different.
Locked away, no one can ever see. Wounds so deep they never show, they never go away. Like moving pictures in my head.
Now I didn't get this reference for this part of the song. I got it for the chorus. Let's take a listen.
I would if I could stand up and take the blame. I would take all my shame to the grave.
It's easier to run, replacing this pain with something more. It's so much easier.
Very different than even the other two references. Completely different than my song. What do I notice? I notice that the guitars are thick. They're super, super thick. They take over everything. And if you noticed, the drums, when the chorus kicks in, are tiny. Kick drum is tiny. Snare is tiny. Compare these drums to the previous song.
I would take all my shame to the grave.
It's easier to run, replacing
Teeny snare.
mine, but and I'll never hide.
Fatter snare there, even here. Yeah, those guitars are way tucked under compared to this track where the guitar right here just dominates. And this is a great side note too, is that mixing is, you have a finite amount of space. It's like a living room. It's got 4 walls, and you can put furniture wherever you want. You can even swap in big furniture, small furniture, but you still have a finite amount of space. So if you want a massive sectional in your living room versus a tiny little love seat, that's fine. Just know that you're not going to have a lot of room for a massive coffee table or extra seating. You're just going to have that big sectional. It's already taking up the space. So in this case, they have the guitars just taking up all the sonic space, so the drums have to be small. So all this to say, I'm getting some clues from these reference tracks that I can interpret and use as ammo for my song to say, what do I need to do with my mix to get it closer? And it's just exposing the weaknesses in my track. And that's so valuable. So when I go to my mix, I can then attack it with some intentionality. So here's what I'm hearing. I think it's very clear that I need more kick drum. I need more weight in the kick drum, whatever it takes. The snare drum is a little thin. It probably could be a little fatter, a little crispier up top also. Low end in general, not enough bottom end. The bass on this one is a picked bass guitar, and it's not really fat, not a lot of thickness down there, so some more weight. And the guitars, I don't actually have any chords. I'm referencing material where they're playing thick power chords, where this song, the song I'm mixing, doesn't have any chords.
It's clear to me that you know this was a glass and it's about ready to break. It's a dark, cold sea.
It's mostly like lead riffs, and you hear throughout the song later on, there's just mostly 2 lead guitar players and a bass. So it's a different tonality with the guitars, but I need to make sure the guitars don't sound too thick. Like I don't like the third reference track. I don't think that's a really good example for me. I probably would not even listen to that one. Probably just the first 2. But bottom end, kick drum weight, and maybe a little bit more crispness up top. So one thing you can do before you leave this, you can write down those notes. You can even grab an EQ. Let's just grab a stock EQ and start to experiment on your rough 10-minute mix to see if we're going to even get in the ballpark. So let's work on some of this.
It's clear to me that you know this was a glass and it's about ready to break. It's a dark, cold city, you're my spotlight, so take me away. Can you take my hand? Can you take this off from me and set me free now? Can you set me free now? They'll take it all, can't take it back. Your blood runs cold like a heart attack. They dig deep in you, so dig deep and get through.
So just rough moves. You can see my big one here. I'm doing a lot of bottom end boosting. I've got a almost 6 dB boost shelf at 150 and below. And there's not really much to boost. There's just not much low end. So I'm not getting enough, but it's a little bit more weight on the kick drum and a little bit more on the bass. I scooped out a little bit around 377, 400 to kind of clean up some of the guitars there. Because if I want my guitars to be thick, I don't really want them to be heavy down there because I need room for the kick to sound fatter. And the more you build up those low mids, that kind of covers up some of the low stuff. So I want that to be as big as possible. So it's kind of like a psychoacoustic thing. I'm trying to just get rid of what's above the low stuff so I hear the low stuff more. You saw me do a little bit of a shelf up top, maybe open up some of the crisp air up top, and then a little boost at 2K to get a little more crunch. That might be the wrong spot, but this is just a rough move. Here's before and after. Here's after.
It's clear to me that you know this was a glass and it's about ready to break. It's a dark, cold city, you're my spotlight, so take me away. Can you take my hand? Can you take this off from me and set me free now? Can you set me?
It already sounds better. I mean, it's a little hyped and a little too extreme. But why am I doing this? I'm doing this to get some clues when I go back to my mix. I may not really necessarily copy these EQ settings and slap them on the mix bus of my mix, although I could, as a starting point, maybe make them a lot less extreme. But it's telling me, that might help. Now let's reference this with the EQ tweaks to 2 of the reference tracks. Let's see if it's getting a little bit closer.
It's clear to me that you know
Directing ships that carry all their broken hearts.
it's a dark.
Questions down, falling all around in cycles.
Off from me and set me free.
Constantly consuming, conquer and devour.
Never wanted love to bridge this gap of mine.
Yeah, it's way closer, right? So I know those are the areas I'm going to have to attack. And all that to say, this is a lot of like explaining, but I want to show you this because it's so powerful, man. Now when I go back, all I've done in my real mix session is spent 10 minutes. And then I spent maybe another 10 minutes over here in reference land. And I'm going to go back. I could literally copy this EQ setting and paste it in, at least for a reference inside the session, even if I bypass that EQ later. I'm now going back to my real mix armed with ammo, armed with info, armed with direction, knowing my problem areas, my weak spots, and where I need to bring this these tracks too to get them closer to what I'm hearing out there in this genre. And that's really going to help you out. I mean, if you're not doing this, you're mixing blind, and that's all I can say. And when I forget to do this or get lazy and go, I don't have time to reference, or I feel like this sounds good, it's arrogance on my part, and it's laziness. If you're mixing for a client, you're doing them a disservice if you don't reference, and I've done this. I'm speaking from experience. But it's amazing how taking 10 minutes out of your time in the mix land to come over here to reference land and do this, and especially the way Mike Senior sort of outlined doing this process, which I rarely do, take it out of the mix session and do it like this. It actually gives me a bigger picture like a mastering engineer. When I'm in mastering mode, I'm just thinking big picture like a listener, and that's the beautiful thing, is think like a listener. What are the big sweeping problems, not just the minute details like, yeah, the 2K on that snare is a little too much. Like, that's just too detailed. We need to think like really simple. If I were listening to these songs in an iTunes playlist and then mine came on after the references, what would I think is missing? Like, whoa, this song has no kick drum, or this song has no bass. That vocal is really hiding. These are the things you want to discover in reference land. So this is the one move that smart mixers are doing, and you can do this today, and it'll cost you $0, and it's going to help you get a much better mix guaranteed. Hope that gives you something to think about. If you've already been using reference tracks, leave me a comment below and let me know how you've been doing them. Are you doing it like this with Mike Senior's method of actually taking it out of your session? Are you doing it in your session? Are you using a plugin to reference your tracks? I know there's a few out there. How are you referencing your tracks? And then two, if you've never referenced tracks before, if you've never done anything like this at all, leave a comment and let me know what your first thoughts were after watching this video. Was this helpful to you? Is this confusing to you? Or do you think you're actually going to use this on your next mix? I hope you do. If you want better mixes, I would encourage you in that area. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you like the videos, of course. And if you want better and more content directly to your inbox, join the list. It's absolutely free. I'll send you my best material there, stuff that I don't post anywhere else. Have a great week. Make some great music. I'll see you on another video soon.